All right, call the meeting to order.
Okay, welcome to the Queen Anne's County Commissioners meeting. This is a public meeting that is being aired live on our local cable television station, QACTV 7. These media broadcasts provide county citizens an opportunity to watch and review our scheduled public meetings. In addition to our live audience this evening, we are providing remote options for citizens to watch and participate in county commissioner meetings. Citizens may watch our meeting live on our website at qac.org/live or on our public access governmental television channel provided by BreezeLine Cable Services. Citizens may also participate by joining the live Zoom meeting by going to qac.org/public comment, and citizens may also email comments to publiccomment@qac.org. All comments received will be summarized during the press and public comment period on tonight's agenda. We acknowledge everyone's participation, and by attending you acknowledge that this session is both recorded and aired. Press and public comment will be taken and is limited to 3 minutes per person. If you do care to speak, please sign up at the information table in our lobby. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing for the Commissioner's review. We will now stand and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Commission President Chris Corcorino.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You could all please remain standing for Chris Parsley. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioners, that brings us to the approval of tonight's agenda, and I will mention to the audience here this evening, we do have Commissioner Patrick McLaughlin. He's on our Zoom screen up here this evening. He couldn't be here tonight in person. So our agenda for today's meeting, June the 10th, along with the regular session minutes, the closed session minutes, and the Sanitary Commission minutes from the May 27th meeting have all been circulated for review. Do we have any additions or corrections?
Nope. I'm going to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted and all the minutes as submitted.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. So we just held a closed session under the General Provisions Article, Section 3305B3, to discuss land acquisition, and no decisions were made in the closed session.
God bless.
Press and public comment?
Yes.
Okay, we will now take press and public comment. So we appreciate all citizens for taking time to express views to the county commissioners. Your comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing. This commission respects your desire and right to convey your message freely. When you come forward, please speak clearly at the standing microphone, state your name, your address, and your topic of interest. And in keeping with the dignity of our office, we ask that all views be expressed in a respectful and civil manner.
All right, we got John first, and then Jay's right afterwards. Go ahead.
Good evening. John Vigliani, Rockville, Maryland. I'm here on behalf of Barnstable, Lowry, and Jean Farms. I'm appearing today to ask for your support and a yes vote for our project on Kent Island. We have been following the development process for over 13 years. The original 85-acre tract town center plan was removed from the growth area in the 2022 comprehensive plan while our project was under review. As a concession for the dramatic downsizing, the county left a narrow strip of zoning along Route 18 that permitted a limited amount of development by right, and this project utilizes that remaining zoning that was left for development. It is an infill housing parcel of 11 acres that the Planning Commission, the Department of Planning and Zoning, and all the other agencies in the county fully support. There were no reservations. No problems were cited that would prevent the project from going forward and securing normal subdivision, site plan, record plat, and grading permit approvals. The project meets all the legal criteria cited for the original downzoning of the property. In justifying the downzoning, the county relied on a legal opinion that a development should expect approval if the project meets the zoning and building code criteria and is in the growth area. Obviously, this parcel still is in the growth area, and we have met all of those criteria. None of the adequate public facility reports completed and submitted for the project found a single negative impact for traffic, schools, water and sewer. The Department of Public Works confirmed that the required water and sewer allocation of 20,500 gallons per day is available for the project. There has been no opposition to this project, other than Mr. Falstaff's objection voiced at the hearing on May 27th, 2025. The record contains no evidence that the project would be detrimental to the community. Realizing that we have done all the work required for approval, followed all the review and comment processes required by the county regulations, and provided the additional fiscal impact report that shows the substantial positive fiscal benefit to the county. We ask that you abide by the county's prior legal opinion, the recommendations of the Planning Commission, the Department of Planning and Zoning, and all the agencies you entrust to evaluate these projects. We ask you that you vote yes for the water and sewer amendment so we can complete the project and provide much-needed housing for Queen Anne's County. Thank you very much for your support, and we look for your yes vote tonight. Thank you.
Jay?
Good evening, Commissioners. Jay Falstead, Queen Anne's Conservation Association. I just wanted to give you an update as a courtesy to what happened last week concerning Senate Bill 931. As you may know, following the governor's signature on May 20th, we quickly mobilized and got a petition effort underway to try and put the issue on the 2026 ballot. We had a lot of momentum from all counties on the Eastern Shore, including all of you, so thank you for that support. Unfortunately, we came just shy of the necessary number, and we were thrown a curveball by the State Board of Elections at the last minute. We were initially told that we would have until June 2nd, which was on a Monday, and they threw us a curveball and said that the deadline was Saturday, May 31st at 11:59. And so in spite of all of our attempts, we came a little bit short. But with that said, I can tell all of you, and I've told some of the other commissioners on the shore, clearly people on the Eastern Shore do not want to see their farmland converted over to an industrialization of solar projects. And so that's one part of what I wanted to say. The other part is this. In looking over the perennial solar case, which is helping guide some of this, on page 37 of that opinion, let's see if I can bring this up here. There's something in the footnotes that gives us hope. What it says, it's footnote number 22. To be clear, although we have found that PU 7-207 impliedly preempts a local government or its zoning authority from having the final word on whether and where a generating station can be located, this holding should not be read to suggest that local governments do not have the authority to address solar projects in their comprehensive plans and zoning regulations. Through the 2017 amendment, the General Assembly has expressly determined that local comprehensive plans and zoning regulations require due consideration by the PSC. That's a pretty important statement, and so I just want to reiterate that all hope is not lost, and we should keep that in mind. Very finally, Commissioners, I just want to show you this. I've read contracts of these solar projects. I urge you to continue putting out your warning to landowners who are considering these proposals, because the way these contracts and options are written are very confusing. And what they do is they start with an option that converts into a contract, preventing anybody that signs it from negotiating power later on. And so I would not let my worst enemy sign one of these agreements. And so I just urge you to continue putting out that warning sign to the extent that you can. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. All right. Is there anybody else? Anybody else want to speak for press and public comment?
I just want to quickly thank Jay's effort. Thank you for your effort and the others and trying to get those signatures in time so we could send this to referendum. So kudos to you for your effort.
All right. We'll close press and public comment.
right, Commissioners, we can move into the legislative portion of the agenda this evening. So if you want to turn to tab number 7. First up, we have a series, actually 3 public hearings on citizen-sponsored text amendments. We had 4 scheduled, but one of them was withdrawn by the applicant last week. So it is, we are in time now to proceed. So first, under tab 7, item 1, we have County Ordinance 2503, public hearing, an act concerning the maximum non-residential building height in the suburban commercial district. So, Mr. Thompson?
Are you ready?
We're ready.
On May 13th, 2025, Commissioner Moran introduced County Ordinance number 2503, a bill entitled An Act Concerning the Maximum Non-Residential Building Height in the Suburban Commercial SC District for the purpose of increasing the maximum excuse me, the maximum non-residential building height in the suburban commercial district from 30 feet to 40 feet by amending section 18-121E2D2 of the Code of Public Local Laws of Queen Anne's County. This hearing is being held on Tuesday, June 10, 2025 at 5:40 p.m. County Commissioners Meeting Room, Liberty Building, 107 North Liberty Street, Centerville, Maryland. The proposed ordinance received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission at their April 10, 2025 meeting. Copies of the proposed ordinance have been available at the County Commissioner's office or the Department of Planning and Zoning, 110 Vincent Street, and online on the county website. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Written testimony, if any length, can be submitted on before the hearing date to the County Commissioners at 107 North Liberty Street, Centerville. All hearing sites are accessible to individuals with disabilities. Sign language interpreters and assistive listening systems are available. Part of the record of the proceeding will be the recommendation of the Queen Anne's County Planning Commission and a certificate of publication from the Bay Times Record Observer indicating that notice of tonight's hearing was published for 2 successive weeks prior to tonight. The 2 people have signed up to speak. Jay Falstad.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jay Falstad. This is not on behalf of QACA. This is just me alone. 108 Emmanuel Lane, Millington, Maryland. I hope that you'll reject this request and keep the height standard where it is. And the reason I say that is one of the great things that I've always admired about Washington, D.C. is there was some foresight a long time ago to limit the height restrictions in Washington, and that's why you don't have big skyscrapers right within the district itself. It's always on the periphery. Philadelphia also had some restrictions long ago so that the height restrictions would not exceed City Hall and go beyond the height of William Penn. And so that whole area there, right around downtown, is also limited. One of the great things about our county is its scale. We don't have tall buildings like they have in other areas. So this is just me hoping that as a citizen that you'll keep the height restrictions where they are. They're not unreasonable, and that's what makes our county, in my view, great, that we've got good design standards, good scale, and I hope we can keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan Showalter.
Good evening, Ryan Showalter. I'm appearing on behalf of the applicant. You have a staff report in your packet, which I won't belabor a lot of the points. I want to highlight just a couple of things that I think are important. The first is that the suburban commercial district is designed primarily for a variety of commercial and light industrial district uses. The county has maintained its height standards since 2008 with one exception. And in that one exception, you amended the height standard of the suburban estate district. It was increased to 45 feet. What's proposed is not to take this to skyscraper or Philadelphia or DC heights. What we're talking about is going from 30 to 40 feet. 40 feet is not very tall. 40 feet is less than the height that's permitted in the suburban estate district for non-residential buildings. The height amendment that's presented was not only recommended by the Planning Commission, it was unanimously recommended by the Planning Commission, and that followed recommendations from both the Queen Anne's County Economic Development Commission and also recommendations from the County Planning and Zoning staff. And within the zoning district, you have commercial development standards. Those design standards are not proposed to change. You also have floor area ratios that determine how much floor area, how much building mass can be developed. We're not proposing any changes there either. So this isn't about increasing the amount of development that can occur on a parcel. It's just about increasing flexibility with respect to design, so that frankly, you can have slightly more vertical design, you could have steeper pitched roofs, but then have more open space. Without an increase, a corresponding increase to the floor area ratio, you're not going to get bigger buildings or more development activity. You just have the potential for that development to be slightly more vertical, which would allow more green space and more open space. And that's why this was supported by both the planning staff and the planning commission, and we appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Those got signed up. Is there any other public comment on 2503?
Thank you, Joseph Stevens, Centerville, Maryland. I'm not representing the applicant. I'm just speaking to you as a person with business here in the county. I would also urge you to support the amendment, and I just want to put it into context. In your residential districts, you allow 40-foot heights for residential buildings. So this is really nothing that's going to be disruptive and create some eyesore. It just allows flexibility in design so you can condense and go to 3 stories. As anybody who's built knows, you can't do a 3-story building unless you have about 40 feet. So I would urge you to adopt it. Thank you.
Any other public comment on ordinance 2503? Go on to the next
Go on the next one, yep.
All right, on May the 13th, 2025, Commissioner Moran introduced County Ordinance 2504, a bill entitled an act concerning permitted uses in the Airport Protection and Canal and Gateway APKIG District in Queen Anne's County for the purpose of allowing daycare centers as a permitted use in the Airport Protection and Canal and Gateway District in Queen Anne's County by amending Section 18134B of the Code of Public Local Laws. This hearing is being held Tuesday, June 10th, 2025 at 5:45 p.m. in the County Commissioners Meeting Room, Liberty Building, 107 North Liberty Street, Centerville. The proposed ordinance received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission at their April 10th, 2025 meeting. Copies of the ordinance have been available at the County Commissioner's Office, Department of Planning and Zoning, and online on the county website. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Written testimony of any length may be submitted all before the hearing date to the County Commissioners at 107 North Liberty Street. All hearing sites are accessible to individuals with disabilities. Sign language interpreters and assistive listening systems are available. Part of the record of the proceeding will be a certificate of publication indicating the notice of the hearing was published for 2 successive weeks in the Bay Times, Record Observer, newspapers of general circulation in Queen Anne's County, and the recommendation of the Queen Anne's County Planning Commission. Joe Stevens.
Thank you, Commissioners. Joe Stevens, Centerville, Maryland. I do represent this applicant and prepared this amendment. This is in the airport zone. If you recall, 2 years ago, you did a complete rezoning of the area down near Bay Bridge Marina, and you amended the zoning ordinance for the Airport Protection District, and you created a zone and rezoned several properties. My client, 214 Bay Manor, is the apartment building with the commercial at the bottom floor, the one that's completely constructed now, right next to the beach club. So they were brought into this new zone when they got approvals under the urban commercial zone. And the county they worked with us, there was no question about it, to make sure that the apartments themselves wouldn't become non-conforming uses, and provided language to that. Since that time, my client has been renting the space out at the bottom floor and is renting now to a learning center. The learning center provides for children down to the age of 2. It's a certified Montessori school center. It's one of the many tenants that they're getting into that commercial space. They wanted to have the ability to have children under 2, but you're defined by the state, once you go under 2, as being a daycare center. And daycare center was removed, or it was not included in the airport protection zone. That's it in a nutshell. So we went to the county and we talked to staff and went to the planning commission. They all were like, yeah, this is not big problem. It makes sense. It's an employment center for you down there now. You have some housing happening down there. And to have daycare, really, which is just children under the age of 2 allowed in that zone, will be perfectly acceptable. And so that's what the amendment's for. There's no opposition to it. It's not controversial. It would simply allow the tenant who's down there now, which is TTT Learning Center, to then have clients or children come in under the age of 2. Obviously, state certified and state inspected and so on and so forth. So we'd ask that you would support the amendment and approve it, and think it'll be beneficial down there. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment on proposed county ordinance 2504?
To the next one, yep.
On May 13, 2025, Commissioner Moran introduced County Ordinance 2507, a bill entitled An Act Concerning the Subdivision or Reconfiguration of Parcels from which development rights have been transferred, for the purpose of allowing the subdivision or reconfiguration of parcels from which development rights have been transferred under certain circumstances, prohibiting the creation of additional lots in connection with such subdivision or reconfiguration, and generally dealing with permitting and regulating the subdivision or reconfiguration of a parcel from which development rights have been transferred by amending section 101A1 of the Code of Public Local Laws of Queen Anne's County. This hearing is being held Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, at 5:55 p.m. in the County Commissioners Meeting Room, Liberty Building, 107 North Liberty Street, Central Maryland. The proposed ordinance received an unfavorable recommendation from the Planning Commission at their May 8, 2025 meeting. Copies of the ordinance have been available at the County Commissioner's Office, Department of Planning and Zoning, and on the county website. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Written testimony of any length can be submitted on before the hearing dates. All hearing sites are accessible to individuals with disabilities. Sign language interpreters and assistive listening systems are available for individuals with disability. Part of the record of this proceeding will be the recommendation of the Queen Anne's County Planning Commission and a certificate of publication indicating the notice of the hearing was published for 2 successive weeks prior to today's meeting. Okay, Jay Falstad.
Tonight's a busy night. Jay Falstad, Queen Anne's Conservation Association. Commissioners, back on May 8th, the Planning Commission rejected this text amendment request, and we urge you to do the same. The staff report is very well done, and because of the findings in the staff report, we urge an unfavorable. The report says that the amendment would eliminate the prohibition against reconfiguration of the transport parcels that has been as part of the county code since 1987. Rather than go through all this tonight, I'll send it to you because I assume you're going to keep the record open for a couple weeks. But I guess at the end, if you allow this one single text amendment, and the person that put it forward, I understand why he was trying to do it, but you're potentially opening up Pandora's box, because every single landowner that took advantage of the NCD or TDR program, you would then have to allow all those people the opportunity to potentially reconfigure their lot lines, and that was absolutely not the intent behind either one of those. The staff report makes that pretty clear, that once these are established, then they're meant to stay that way. And so I urge you to reject this, and I'll submit some additional things while you have the record open. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Jeff?
Commissioners, Jeffrey Thompson. I am in part the applicant and in part counsel for Shirley Schaefer. I would invite you to read the staff report because it is critical of the request to reconfigure, but not really for the subdivision of the property. I asked for both. At the Planning Commission hearings, the staff pointed out their concerns. I conceded those concerns and told them that I would amend, because what I really wanted to be able to do was to be able to subdivide as between adjoining property owners. Only in an admin, no new lot will be created, The only thing that would change would be who owned the property. All the land restrictions would remain exactly the same. Again, the only thing that changes is who owns it. No land use issue is changing whatsoever. The Planning Commission wanted to see an example of what I was talking about. So I offered to provide that at the next meeting. There was a glitch with video audio. After that, planning director stood up and said, we need to move on. You need to make a decision basically today. So they voted. But when they voted, it was careful. He said, we're going to vote against the amendment as proposed, meaning that what I was offering to amend might be considered as acceptable. I want you to read the staff report, because as you read through it, I don't think you're going to find any problem in that staff report with the subdivision piece. There were a number of problems with the reconfiguration piece. I've got examples. If you'd rather them be mailed in later, the examples aren't really appropriate, only because, although the Planning Commission asked for them, I'm asking for a text amendment, and it affects all properties. But they wanted to see what I was talking about. So I have our personal farm, and I have Mrs. Schaefer's farm. I can show you exactly what we were talking about. By way of example, on our farm, and it adjoins Mr. Waterman's farm, so he could chime in if he would like. There was left a peninsula of land where we had to cut through TDRs in order to have it joined to our property. We owned a farm. My father owned a farm with two other gentlemen next door, which is the farm that Mr. Waterman owns. The other two gentlemen wanted out. My dad didn't, so we added a portion of that 500-acre farm, or whatever it is, over to ours. In that process, we couldn't cut the line where we wanted to cut it, and it made sense. Where the line was to be cut, there was a huge ravine, we believe to have been a gravel pit back in the 1960s. It made sense. Mr. Waterman can't even get to this 11-acre piece that we weren't able to subdivide and add to ours without going through the woods and this deep ravine. Doesn't make any sense. And the conditions and the restrictions are the same whether I own it or Mr. Waterman owns it. The tax office actually created a separate lot for it. I mean, it's a separate tax parcel, and it really shouldn't be, but it is on the tax maps. And it just, I'm sorry, I'm concluded.
Yeah, just go ahead and send us whatever you have.
Okay, may need explanation. I'll try to get a better explanation. I didn't realize I couldn't have a thumb drive here tonight until this afternoon, so I was scurrying. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Any other public testimony? Barry?
Barry Waterman, Centerville. Forever is a long damn time. I would encourage you and everybody to think about the critical area as an entity. That's how the whole law was designed, that we would protect the bay by protecting the entire critical area. So if you have a farm and you have a farm, is it better to have all development or whatever on one farm as opposed to spread out on different farms? That made sense. Protecting, transferring TDRs back and forth, as long as you're not creating extra lots, as long as whoever's asking for this amendment isn't getting an extra lot to build on, it doesn't make any difference. So if all we're talking about is administrative subdivisions moving a line back and forth, sometimes things change, and we ought to be flexible to accommodate that. Thanks.
Any other public testimony?
All right, next one. Is that all we have for you?
That's what we have. Yeah.
That's all we had. So you want to leave the record open?
The record open?
2 weeks?
2 weeks, we'll vote.
On 3, okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. All right, Commissioners, we're still under the legislative tab number 7. We want to turn to item number 5 on pages 7 through 13. This is County Ordinance 2509. This is the Public Facilities Bond Authorization Bill that would authorize the county to sell bonds in the amount not to exceed $26 million for a series of capital projects for fiscal years 23, 24, and 25. This is for introduction and scheduling of a public hearing.
I'll introduce it.
Okay. All right, thank you, Commissioner Corcorino. Okay, moving on, item number 6 on pages 14 through 42. This is County Ordinance 2501. This is the act concerning cannabis licensed growers, processors, dispensaries to provide consistency with state law as required by Senate Bill 516 and House Bill 805. This one can be voted on this evening if so desired.
Can I get a motion on that one?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance 2501.
Get a second?
Second.
All right, this is a motion to adopt 2501. This is the one that we're required to introduce in order to comply with state law. This is not something that the commissioners wanted, but we have to do it.
Thus my hesitancy. And this speaks to, Jay brought up earlier, this is one of many opportunities the state has taken to take over local zoning and decide where we put boundary lines up, what the look, smell, and feel of Queen Anne's County looks like. I hate this ordinance. If I didn't have to, based on the state law, vote for it, I would not. I would vote against it for sure. And it just seems like more and more each year as I've been a commissioner, the state comes in and wants to take more and more of our control. Someday you won't need commissioners up here because we'll have no jurisdiction over anything in the county at the rate we're going. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, anybody else? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
All right, we got 2 opposed, 3 in favor, passes.
All right, Commissioners, item number 7 is Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan, public hearing. We had 2 public hearings following 2 informational meetings. The first one was for the Barnstable project, the Lowry Farm. They're proposing 82 townhomes on Main Street in Chester, requesting water and sewer map amendment from S3W3 to S2W2.
Get a motion on the Barnstable property.
I move to approve the map amendment request to upgrade the sewer and water service designations for the Barnstable property from S3 to W3 to S2W2.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Anybody have any comments on this? All right. I'll add a few comments. This sort of applies to both these, just for the public that's watching and for the applicants. These are the ones I think that we put a lot of thought into particularly. And I think it was as noted at some of these hearings, you don't necessarily have people showing up opposed, but that doesn't mean the commissioners don't hear from people. And that's part of our job, is in the community listening to people. So just what happens in the commissioners' chambers isn't everything on it. And also we have to take our own views on evaluating each project. I don't, and maybe I'm wrong, but the way I look at this is I don't think our job is just to rubber stamp things. I think we have to put our own discretion into looking at these things, and perhaps I'm wrong in that view, but we do put a lot of thought into these things. So I want to make sure everybody knows that they get a lot of thought and consideration that goes into it. It's not arbitrary, at least from my perspective.
You just to pigtail on what Chris had said, we get folks that disagree with projects that or proposals that are taking place in the county, and they reach out to us through various medias to express their concerns. And more often than not, it's when the bulldozers show up and the trucks and the groundbreaking starts to take place, people take aware of what's going on, and by then it's too late. And so I'm not necessarily saying we're defending the ignorant folks that don't go to the planning and zoning meetings, get involved, figure out what's going on in their community. To a certain extent, they rely on their commissioners to be that voice, that concern. We are elected by the people for the people. And sometimes they can't always express their concerns about projects because they're living their own lives. And so it's important for us to represent them in the best way we feel possible. So just because somebody doesn't come and talk opposed to something, or a few of them send us emails that are staying in the know about what's going on in our community, we still have to protect our citizens and the lack of the effort on their part to stay educated. That's all I have to say.
Right. And I think it's also important to note that what we're at with this stage, these votes don't mean that a project is definitely going to happen if there's a vote in favor. If there's a vote against, then it does sort of stop it. But there are many stages along the way, and so the people should keep engaged. and it's a long process for developers, and they have to risk a lot of money going into these. So that's also taken into consideration. All right, if there's no more comments,
So, yeah,
go ahead.
so, I just wanted to say, I understand, there's people in this room who have had projects that have sat on the back burner for 20-some years before they came to fruition. And what I will say about any project in Queen Anne's County, or any county for that matter, is that as commissioners, we sit up here, we look at these projects as a snapshot in time, and that's here and today. That's not 5 years from now, that's not looking back 10 years. It's what we have in front of us today, what the conditions are today, and so that becomes the heavier weight. Now, to Commissioner Corcarino's point, we have a process in this county, and that process needs to be followed. We try to follow it in everything we do, and this is part of the process. This isn't the end. It's in most cases, this is the beginning for all these projects, and this one's weighed heavily on me. I'm from North County. I represent North County. Some could say I have no skin in this game, but I also represent all of the county. So I do have skin in this game. I had a lot of reservations. I brought them up at the previous meeting about the cost. If these projects aren't net positive for the county, then that means I go back to my citizens in North County and tell them, you're going to fund a development on Kent Island for the schools and for the students. So that puts me in a very precarious situation. But again, I will go back and say I believe in the process and the system. So that's all I got.
Well, I guess I'm gonna,
Chime in too?
might as well chime in.
Nobody's bashful today.
That's right. You know, we just went through 2 years ago a comprehensive plan that I was told numerous times was a great process and great results. And pretty much everybody left that comprehensive plan and they were satisfied, they were happy, eager to move forward with whatever their endeavors were in Queen Anne's County. And, you know, and it bothers me when we talk about process and we talk about all the hurdles people have to jump through, and they do that only to be said no. And if we're going to do that, I think that we should just put a moratorium. If we're going to do that, instead of being, you know, we're now charged with picking winners and losers, and it just depends on who you talk to, who's the winner and who's the loser. So, you know, I do believe in the system that we have, that we've had for many years, and, you know, you follow the rules and the regulations, you should be able to move forward. That's all I'm going to say.
Patrick, before we call the vote, do you have anything to say?
No, I'm good.
All right. So all those in favor of the sewer allocation for Barnstable property, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No. Patrick, where are you on it?
Aye.
In favor or against?
In favor.
All right, we got 3 in favor, 2 opposed. It passes.
All right, Commissioners, the second request before you tonight is the Aspire at Ewing Farm. This is for 290 units on Main Street in Graysonville, across from the elementary school. Also seeking map amendment from S3W3 to S2W2.
I move to approve the map.
I'm going to recuse myself from this particular agenda.
Okay.
I move to approve the map amendment request to upgrade the sewer and water service designations for the Aspire at Ewing Farm property from S3W3 to S2W2.
Second?
All right, we got a motion and a second for Aspire Ewing Farm. Any comments from anybody? All right, I think we sort of, the comments from the first one carry over to this one so that everybody knows that way.
My biggest concern is the
Go ahead.
schools. I was just saying that, as I said last time, my biggest concern is the amount of kids that are going into the school system, especially at Graysonville Elementary.
Okay. Anything else, Patrick? All right, we're going to call the vote on this one. Commissioner Wilson has recused himself, so his vote does not count in this. So if it's 3 in favor, it passes. If it's 3 against, it fails. If it's 2-2, It fails. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we got 3 in favor and 1 against. It passes. All right. I will say, this, just for the developer for Aspire, in my view, you guys are going to have to, both Barnstable and Aspire are going to have to come again for the actual allocation of the amount. While I voted in favor of Aspire going forward, I do have some reservations about the size of the development, and so I think we want to have some more conversations about reduction of the capacity on that before we get to that next vote, because if it's at its existing amount, I'm not inclined to vote in favor of that. Thank you.
I concur with that, Commissioner.
All right, Commissioners, that concludes the legislation portion of the agenda tonight, so we can move into presentations if you're ready.
Can one of you tell Jack to come back in, please, out there?
We can take
Can we take a break?
5, take 2,
Take 5.
take 5, take
Thank
5.
you.
All right, here comes Jack, all right. Commissioner from Sudlersville, Sharon Dilk, has a time constraint, so I'd like to maybe
Come on up.
do this item next, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right? So if you want to turn to
I don't know if she wanted to speak or not.
tab 2 in Public Works, tab 2, item 2, this is the Town of Sudlersville Water and Sewer Agreement. If you want to come on up, Commissioner Dilks, please.
Do we need to convene as sanitary for that one?
This one,
I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah.
Well, they got it under sanitary heading, so it probably should be. right?
Yeah, we can, yeah.
A motion to convene as sanitary.
Let's do that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Come on.
Come on up, cover both bases.
Come on up, Sharon. Yep. Okay, so county staff met with and presented the agreement to the Town of Sudlersville Commissioners to facilitate our sanitary district assuming ownership of all the administrative and operational responsibilities of the town's water and sewer system this past week. In addition, we presented an assignment of the intergovernmental agreement that the town has to provide sewer services to Barclay, and that would be assigned to the Queen Anne's County Sanitary District as well. So Town Council was very receptive of the offer, executed both agreements, graciously thanked us for stepping up and helping them with their sewer water system utilities and taking on those duties and responsibilities. As you know, we have been running the wastewater plant now for several years since MES departed the town, so we recommend at this point in time moving forward with the agreement, and we would assume those obligations, responsibilities, and duties for the town of Sudlersville.
I move to approve the agreement with Town of Sudlersville for the county to take over ownership, operations, and finance of the town's water and sewer assets, finances, and operations, and the assignment of the third intergovernmental agreement for wastewater services to the town of Barclay.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
It's a good day?
It is good.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Five in favor.
I said to Todd, I'm just so appreciative of you guys doing this. With the whole
the county
town
can
is. I've had many people say, thank God.
That's good.
We had a full house at the town office last week, and yeah, good discussion. And the majority of the folks were supportive and in favor of this initiative moving forward.
It'll be good for all of them, too.
Absolutely.
For all.
I think it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
all
you.
of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Alan. But you're, yeah, I know that, that's why I said thank you, that's why I'm joking.
Well,
He's going, thanks to the extra work.
we did, Alan, we just didn't listen to you.
All right, thank you, Commissioners.
Todd, we'll do the one above since we're just convening the sanitary.
Oh,
Let's
sure,
knock it
certainly.
out.
Yeah, item number 1, also tab 2, Commissioners, we have the Kentmore Marina Public Works Agreement. This is for the ski Phase 3 sewer project. This is the marina and restaurant down there in the Kentmore. They have to obtain a little additional allocation. So this is the PWA for that gallonage.
I move to execute the Public Works Agreement with Kentmore Marina LLC to allow them to connect to county sewer.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Patrick, you're opposed or you're just now?
It's
got
not
delayed.
a delay.
He's in favor.
It's a delay when you're listening in. It's a delay. This is why you have to slow down. Remember I asked you to
keep up.
Remember I asked you to do that?
Passes.
You may, Patrick, you may just want to say in favor.
Yeah.
Since you're coming delayed.
Very good.
All right, we good?
That'll work.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. So now we can move back to presentations then. So we have tab 6, flip back to tab number 6. Item 1, we have Haven Ministries, Mr. Peter Grimm, Executive Director. Peter, come on up.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Is this your first trip in front of us?
It is.
Hi, I believe it is.
So thank you very much for inviting me. Intimidating group of guys.
No,
Not really.
Well, thanks a lot for having the opportunity to provide a snapshot of Haven Ministries. I understand you've got a full agenda, so I will be brief. Although most of your agenda has probably gotten behind us at this point, but
yeah.
Well, the
I'll
fun
still
stuff
be brief.
anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to start by just reciting our mission to you, just so that it clarifies exactly what Haven Ministry does. Haven Ministries is a faith-based organization whose staff and hundreds of volunteers are dedicated to fighting hunger and homelessness in our community.
We offer immediate and long-term assistance to families and individuals experiencing hardship by partnering with businesses, organizations, individuals, and churches to feed, clothe, shelter, educate, and support those in need. And Haven Ministries has been around for over 20 years. It was founded in 2024 as a coalition of like-minded churches wishing to combat hunger and homelessness in Queen Anne's County. And the organization achieved its nonprofit 501c3 status in 2006. And since then, various programs and services have been developed and added to our services that we provide. Homelessness and hunger is still with us. We're committed to doing what we can to prevent it. And we have a variety of programs that we use to achieve our mission. And I'm going to recite these programs, go through them just so you understand what Haven Ministries does. We have a cold weather emergency shelter. It operates out of the Kent Island Methodist Church in Chester. This operates between October and April. It's the only emergency shelter for the homeless in Queen Anne's County. Our Homes of Hope are 2 houses in Stevensville, which provide longer-term assistance to women and children to provide them time and assistance towards getting jobs and moving into more permanent housing. This has turned into be a great model. People have the time to learn life skills, to learn to budget, to get jobs, and to get out on their own. So it's a wonderful program. We have a street outreach program. It operates throughout the year and helps people where they are, helping the homeless and hungry through connecting them with services. So you'll see people maybe out in the parking lot with a shopping cart. We'll find those people. We'll ask them what they need. We'll provide services for them. We'll try to get them a home. Many people don't want to be in homes, but we do our best. We have a Jacob Sloan Center, opened in October last year at the Shore Christian Fellowship Church in Queenstown. This provides a place for our shelter clients to be during the day, to do laundry and shower, receive education. It also provides education and life skills. So again, we're trying to teach people how to sustain and live sustainable lifestyles, so that we're not just giving people food and shelter, we're helping them to get their own food and shelter. Let's see where I am here. So we also provide a resource for those in our street outreach program at the Jacob Sloan Center, so people can come in there, laundry, showers, food, those kinds of things. We have food pantries. We operate in 2 locations, Queenstown and Sudlersville. Our clients are provided with the dignity to shop as they would in a grocery store, but they don't have to pay for their food. To meet a record increase in demand, we have increased the number of retail food providers who donate food. Acme, Safeway, Target, CVS, Food Lion. We have some local farmers that donate produce, and we can use all the food that we can get, because as soon as it gets on the shelves, it goes off. It's amazing. We've purchased, and we continue to purchase food from the Maryland Food Bank. Our food purchase and delivery budget for this year is $84,000. We had been receiving, when I first came to Haven Ministries right after COVID, Maryland Food Bank was giving us food, and we weren't being charged for it. As tough as COVID was, there were a lot of benefits for nonprofits. We now pay for food from the food bank, and although we get a discount, it still costs money. We have a unique capacity to raise funds through entrepreneurial endeavors at Haven Ministries. One of the things that brought me to that organization, I think it's great that we have our Daily Thread thrift store in Chester. It accepts clothing and donations to be sold at discount prices, helps us to fund our programs. Our Hope Furniture Warehouse is in Queenstown. It accepts furniture donations, again, to be sold at discount prices. All proceeds from these stores are used to operate our programs. And we also give clothing and furniture to those in need through these stores. There are a lot of statistics on poverty and the increasing need for services. I'm not going to run you through all these statistics. Homeless and hunger continues to exist in our county. You know that. And the rising costs of food and housing have made it difficult for people living on the edge of poverty. As a result, the demand for our services has risen considerably. Clients at our food pantries, for instance, have increased by 83% for the first 4 months of 2025 over the same period last year. That's 83% more people coming to us for food. It's a big number. So we receive funding through grants, individual donors, business partners, church partners, fundraising events, and our stores that I just mentioned. Federal cuts and uncertainty have trickled down to affect our funding, and we strive to make ends meet to continue to provide the crucial services to the community. We actually built an $80,000 deficit into our 2025 budget, and we're really attempting to overcome that deficit. You can't operate with a deficit. It's simple as that. Funding is tight, and we operate in an environment of scarcity. We appreciate the support of Queen Anne County Commissioners. We appreciate the support of the county. We have a great relationship with the county departments, networking to help those in need. That sums up what Haven Ministries does. I appreciate everything that you folks have done for us, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about Haven Ministries that I can.
So I have one real quick. Back in my first term, we used to, when you guys, when you had the winter shelter open at the United Methodist Church, you would prepare meals, and then you'd have guests come in, prepare the meals, and then serve them, and then dine with the folks that were staying there in the wintertime at the church. Yeah. You still do that?
We still do. We are very careful about volunteers and working with them. We've had some situations that have been a little bit breaking confidentiality, because we had one instance where a child came in with their parents to help serve a meal, went to school with one of the kids that was in the shelter. Very embarrassing for the kid in the shelter. So we're careful to do that, but we still do have people that prepare meals. We still have people come in from time to time and help to serve them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 2 homes,
Yeah.
you got any numbers on how many people have gone through there and how many you've helped? And
I would venture to say that we've probably helped about 20 people through these homes. There are longer term stays. These homes opened in July of 2022. And the stay there is approximately 2 years, although we give some flexibility with that. We want to provide the ability for people to get the jobs, to go to work. They actually provide some income. They don't pay for the cost to live there, but it teaches them the budget. It teaches them to know that eventually, when they're living by themselves, that they're going to need to pay their rent. So we have women and children only in those homes. It doesn't work to have men in there. We're looking at the potential of potentially having a home of hope for men, because the model works very well. It's a much better model and less labor intensive to have a home as opposed to a shelter. Not to mention shelters are pretty tough to build around Queen Anne's County.
Mm-hmm. Well, you brought this young lady with you. Would she like to come up and talk? Cindy?
This young lady is on our board, Cindy Jacobs. She's been on our board fairly recently, and she came along to give me moral support.
Yeah.
I don't have too much to add, except that, this has always been a focus of my mission to help others. And I'm pastoring churches, and so now I'm trying to help connect churches to the organization so that more churches can help people. And so pastor to pastor, I've been able to add that niche to connect people.
Yeah. And I noticed last year your one main fundraiser was canceled.
Well, we have 2 fundraisers. One is our golf tournament.
Golf tournament.
And the other one we have was called our Beef Bonfires and Cigars. That's in the fall. There were a number of other events that same night that cropped up.
It was a terrible weekend.
So we got to the point of trying to make the decision of cost benefit.
Yeah.
And we decided to pull the plug on it because we just didn't have enough. sold. And usually you sell all the tickets within the final week, but we got skittish.
Yeah.
Was this for the golf tournament?
No, this
Now,
is
this
for
was
the bonfire.
the beef bonfires and cigars. And we
Yeah.
have an event coming up.
There was like 5 events that night.
It's going to be in the fall, in October. It's going to be at the Four Seasons. It's going to be called the 100 Plates. It's very similar. Less, I don't want to say less bourbon and cigars, but no bonfires.
Okay.
But it will be a number of local restaurants that come to support us will be showcasing their meals there. So
And there will be cigars.
more to be followed. Outside, sure. I don't think Four Seasons like us in their clubhouse having cigars, but outside they're fine.
Very good. Well, thank you.
Well,
Appreciate
thank you.
everything you do.
Yes.
Appreciate your
Yes.
support, and thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think putting Ms. Jacobs on your board was smart on your part. She could be very persuasive.
Right. Well, we're happy to have her with us.
All right, Commissioners, moving on, we have Giving the Edge Foundation, Mr. Robert Woolley, come on up. And he has a presentation up on the screen, and also tab 6, item 2, pages 2 through 7 in your books. Robert, welcome.
Good evening.
Welcome.
See you.
Good evening.
Nikila King has been working with us
All right.
in this
Good evening.
particular capacity, which tonight we're not really representing the Giving the Edge Foundation. This is actually Partnering for Youth for the after school
So before you get started, real quick, Bobby, I want to congratulate you once again on your Maryland State 2A Boys Lacrosse State Championship.
Thank you, sir.
So, well done. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Just trying to stack
I'm
up
also
the standards
rubbing,
of
I'm also rubbing that in with
Commissioner
the
Phil.
commissioners from, the other 2 districts.
Just doing our job, Phil. This evening, very important to us. We'll give a quick backstory on the history of Partnering for Youth, what it was before we took it over, kind of where we took it over, and then so far so good, basically. The storyline is murky, I guess you could say. There's almost 30 years of past history with Queen Anne's County Public Schools operating what we have known as Partnering for Youth in the after-school space for many of the schools in the district. Based on decisions there in the last few years, it kind of got a little bit difficult to operate. I think budgets and all the things have kind of come into play. So fortunately, they had some money built into the Project Leads grant a few years ago, which they hired an amazing consultant in 4 Point Education to come in and do a feasibility study on their dime to see what's a path forward for Partnering for Youth since they were looking to retire it from the district stance. As we sat through many meetings with that consultant, it was open forum to a lot of the organizations in the community, and it just basically got to the point where we were the only ones left in the room. For lack of better terms, as you all have probably experienced with all the work we do, we put the kids first. I'll sit through 100 meetings to find out that we'll take this over, and that's the way it kind of panned out. So the 30 years almost of long-term success, Nikila happened to work for the district in previous years, several ago, so she had some oversight capacity in Partnering for Youth itself, which was great as we talked and she was available. So I said, look, I need an arm of strength. You are that person. Please help us guide this through its first year under our watch after we received notice that it was going to be ours for the taking. So with her guidance and experience and our administrative backbone, I think we've really covered an amazing amount of ground in this first school year under our watch. We'll get into some of the details, but that's kind of the backstory and kind of how we landed into the position to manage what we know as Partnering for Youth. Significant resources were put forth through the local management board last year to see that this was possible. The Board of Education hasn't fully stepped away from this. They are still an absolute strong liaison to our success. Dr. Streckengoss, Kibler have both been very instrumental in making sure that not only they're behind us, but they also give a great reporting arm to show the statistics behind the success. Something as a third party we don't really get access to. We give student IDs and they give us basically the extra benefits that they can pull from statistical value. So it's a huge support in having them alongside us. Other key components to this are LMB providing funding. One, thanks to you all putting that faith in us to make it happen. Whether you knew it or not at the time that it was going to be us, it ended up being us. Jacob Sloan Foundation, who we've heard mentioned several times this evening, came together as a grant supporter for this program, along with Clifton Foundation, United Way of QAC, and all of those dollars come to full value in our ability to add more programs to each of these schools. A couple of successes that we'll get into, we're super proud of, but in first semester we had contracted only for 6 schools, right? We were tasked with the idea that we were going to handle the 4 middle schools in the way of all of their sports programs and arts and crafts, so on and so forth, STEM, et cetera. 2 additional elementary schools. So we only had 6, right? We say that because in the second semester, as we'll talk about later, Bayside Elementary, we added on our accord. Bayside said, what about us? We said, let's figure it out, and we made it happen. So the contract was written, so you know, on a 6-school basis, and by semester 2, we had 7 under our watch, so super proud of that. 388 students enrolled across those first 6 schools in the first semester, and we'll go through a quick school-by-school summary with Nikila.
Yeah, so we had Mattapique Elementary, Kennard Elementary, Stevensville Middle School, Sutlersville Middle School, and Centerville Middle School. And throughout those schools, we offered various activities and categories of sports, arts and science, and other programs, such as character counts, board games. We had the sports in the fall, which was basketball. We also did have, at a non-competitive level, volleyball that was offered. We had culinary arts at the elementary school levels, Dungeons and Dragons, so different types of activities for various types of interests that we pulled from previous knowledge from families and students. So we were able to cater to their interests at the school level. And we were able to, at Mattapique Elementary, 48 students, Kennard Elementary, 28 students, Mattapique Middle had 100 students, Stevensville Middle had 74, Sutlersville Middle, 97, and Centerville Middle, 41 students. And so a large part of that, I will say, with Mattapique, Stevensville, and Sutlersville in the fall, in the late fall, they did have an opportunity to start tryouts for the theater program. So their enrollments did increase. Centerville Middle did not have one at the time due to staffing needs, but the other programs were very successful in their theater program, and as well as all other activities. And that leads us into some of our spotlights from the fall. So we have a spotlight for the girls basketball, and we'll also talk about some student highlights of appreciation that was shared from Kennard Elementary and the students themselves.
Mattapique Middle School girls, it was this classic Cinderella story, underdog. They had like 7 kids on the team, many of which hadn't played basketball. We had no coaches assigned to this team until like 3 days before program launch. I was walking out of the Edge one night, looked to my left, and there was the girl who was working our desk, who I've known since long before college. And I was like, Madeline, you are the answer. Like, you are the basketball coach I need. She was like, I've never coached basketball. I'm like, that doesn't matter. You're a great human. They'll look up to you. Lo and behold, between the 2 coaches that we were able to assemble, between her and Sydney, they win this championship. Completely unexpected. And hats off to Centerville Middle School, because I think they had won it several years in the making. And these little girls were so gritty, so fun to watch, and just a story of perseverance. You know, they just believed they could win, and that's what happened. So it's pretty cool to see them pull it off. And they didn't have the most basketball experience, but they played with so much character. It was an amazing thing to be a part of. That's from, you know, a coach's words. If that doesn't fall in line with how we operate, I don't know what does. You know, we put forth an opportunity, and lo and behold, kids have an amazing experience as a result of it. So something we're super proud of, and not shy to say it.
So I got a chance, Bobby, to officiate some of those basketball games.
You did.
And you even had a couple of the high school coaches that were coming and scouting these girls out. So
absolutely,
it's a feeder program into our high school. So
sure thing.
Yeah, a great program, outstanding. And I would have never guessed that Mattapique would have won it. Talk about an underdog story.
They made it. Student spotlight from Kennard Elementary. Okay, first semester, I'm just hustling and bustling, trying to get this thing done, making sure that we operate it the way that it's historically been run and maybe try to enhance it some way, shape, or form. Well, shows up in the mail, we have this packet of student handwritten letters from Kennard Elementary that, you know, I had to take them home and share with my wife because I'm like about to be in tears over this. We didn't know what we were signing up for. We truly did not. You know, it's one thing to put your hand in the air and say, yes, we'll help out and we'll try to figure it out. But to see what type of remarks they said, I would have never put two and two together that a child would have said, the reason I like going to school is because of this after-school program. Never would I have dreamt those words coming from a child. However, here we are as adults not being the child, right? And when you rewind the hands of time a bit, you remind yourself that, man, having fun with your friends as a kid is really what it's all about. So the fact that they were so thankful, and their perspective was, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have had it. And I like that we got to make food and do other things, and it was so fun to do all the food and sports. And also want to thank you for donating and doing a lot of things for us. Just simple, good kid talk that makes you feel good about what you're doing. So that's a kid spotlight from Kennard Elementary that certainly knocked my socks off. Family feedback we'll touch on with Nikila.
So we did a survey in the fall and in the spring session, and just overall, a couple of feedback that we wanted to highlight was that 85% of the families said that they would plan on enrolling their child in Partnering for Youth after-school programs in the future. 80% of the families said that their child made new friends because of their involvement in PFY, so getting to engage with other great students or students that they don't see in their homeroom class. And 55% of families said that their child is more excited to go to school solely because of their involvement in PFY. So if you attend school, you get to do after school, versus if you're not there, you get to miss your activity that day. So that also encouraged them to be more present at school rather than absent, to continue their involvement throughout the 9 weeks. And then for staff feedback, which was really great, some of these site coordinators have been with PFY for a very long time. And we also had some that were volunteering as well. So they really appreciated the support from the Edge and managing PFY, and they felt that we were very enthusiastic about having a successful season. I know a lot of people were kind of hectic at the beginning, where we were trying to get things together very quickly, but they trusted us with that process, and they saw that it was successful within that first season, and they were very appreciative. They also thought that it went very well compared to previous years. I know a lot of them enjoy the flexibility of the program with the menu options of the 6 schools at that time, and they also felt that it was more organized, and they just overall really enjoyed the program, being able to oversee those activities, the sports competitions, and having these things back in the school. They just overall appreciated. And then going into session 2, so session 2, this is where we had that moment with Bayside Elementary, where they wanted the after-school program back, and Rob got together with the Bayside leadership in the beginning of the year because they wanted the program, and sat down and had a conversation and talked about how can we make this successful, deliver it at the same quality, and we ended up being able to come together and make this program successful with volunteer staff. So we had parents that were volunteering to teach activities, and we also had some staff at the school level that also assisted in making that successful. And overall, in session 2, we had 502 students that we were able to engage amongst those 7 schools. And that 7 schools happened without the financial part, having a budget in the PFY program. So everything was based off of the volunteering, donation of materials, and things like that. So that was a very successful. And overall, Mattapique Elementary, or Bayside Elementary, had 53 students that were engaged through that program, and they operated on a 3-day-a-week program with a total offering of, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 programs. So from STEM and Legos to sports programs such as team sports, they had a win the day club, a run club, a fit and fun club, and an arts club. And those families were very, very grateful for that, and the staff was as well. And we believe that the staff will also be looking forward to hopefully another program next year. So also with this, numbers continue to rise in the second session. So Mattapique Elementary had 58 students, Kennard with 34, coming from the 28, Mattapique Middle with 92, Sutlersville Middle with 84, and Stevensville Middle with 82, and Centerville Middle with 99. They were very famous with track at Centerville. So that went very well. So in the spring, we did have the soccer and the track competitive sports. And those went very well. And we also had other activities such as theater, robotics, board games, STEM and Legos. We had other culinary arts activities. We also had a strings activity and Magic the Gathering. They had that at both schools. A lot of the kids really loved that one. So again, these were activities that were pulled from family interests and staff interests that the staff members would volunteer to lead in their schools. And it was all based off student interest. So we were really glad to see those numbers continue to rise in the second session and be able to offer more robust offerings, including the 2 sports program. And then we'll spotlight what that theater program turned out to be with the support of the Jacob Sloan Foundation and the support of the school, because that is a large production, and we were also able to engage a lot of families, and I'll let Rob touch on that as well.
So between the 3 schools that offered it, Sutlersville, Stevensville, and Mattapique Middles, for one, I didn't realize what we were tackling in the way of theater, right? It was something that was, come to find out, a huge deal. So more power to them, right? Mattapique Middle School had 400 people attend theirs. Sutlersville Middle School had roughly 350, and then Stevensville Middle had 340 people attend their productions. Each of these things were, all of the feedback I've gathered is they're just entirely amazed at the level of care and production that it puts into these things. And before we finish, I just want to give a huge thanks to all of our collaborators. I mean, frankly, Jacob Sloan Foundation, the Board of Education, you guys, the Clifton Foundation, we jumped in, you know, and without the support of everyone, this thing would have been upside down and probably as ugly as it may have finished the last few years. But we're most proud of the idea that we've added a 7th school at our own effort. Now the MOU or the RFP is out with a 7th school written into it. So super impressed with that. 890 kids enrolled, 200 or more in farms. Free and reduced meal students are being served to the tune of almost 25% of our total enrollment, which get to this program at no cost. And then you just measure the thousands of kids that it touches, not just the kids that participate, the families, the staff. It's a real backbone inside this school building that we're just super proud of. Last comment, you place faith in us. We hope you made you and our county proud. We hope to be in a position to strengthen this in the next school year. We'll know that in the next month or so, but it's kind of that in a nutshell. I know it's kind of long-winded, but it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, you're always doing awesome things. I love having you come report on it.
We'll be back for the foundation, I think, in September, so
All right.
keep you abreast of those things.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you all.
Yep. All right. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, great. All right, Commissioners, item number 3 under tab 6. The highlight of the evening is Resolution 2505. This is the adoption of the FY26 budget.
Doesn't that resolution clearly read
Vice
that
President
the
has to read the
president
whole
has
thing.
to actually read it?
Word for word.
Word for word? And
Or-
then highlight some of the
I think it's the Director of Budget and Finance, Mr. Weaver.
I think you can just
Or we can
make
just
a motion.
say,
Yeah.
I make a motion.
to adopt
To
Resolution
adopt.
2505. How's that?
Second.
All in favor, you got a discussion?
I don't need any.
We already discussed this quite a bit, haven't we?
We have.
Oh, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good job, Patrick.
He was actually listening.
Got it.
All right, we do have the Director of Budget and Finance here, Mr. Jeff Rank. Any comments or points you wanted to make about the FY26 budget?
Sure. Just want to take a moment to thank you all and all the county departments and staff for all the hard work and guidance you all provided this past 8 months. It was a lot of work, but we'll continue to fund or improve funding for current levels of service. $48 million in capital projects. Despite a state budget crisis that trickled several expenses down on us this year, and an historic increase for the Board of Education. The county has continued to hold tax rates at the same level as the 3 prior years. So thank you all again for your time, dedication, and effort. We did get written testimony from Dr. Coppersmith from Chesapeake College, whereby he thanks the commissioners for the continued support, particularly of the Queen Anne's County Tech Building Project. So I wanted to pass that along as well. And if there's any questions, just wanted to thank you all again for your time and all the energy.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you and your whole department.
You and your whole staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please give them the kudos.
I certainly will.
All right, excellent.
Very good. Jeff,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Jeffrey. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, we have a few action items remaining. If you want to turn back to tab number 3. So tab 3, item 1, page 1 is character counts spotlight for June of 2025.
It would be my pleasure, Commissioner Corcorino. Queen Anne's County Commissioners, Character Count Spotlight for June 2025. Fairness is a pillar of character counts, celebrates in June. Fairness encompasses the ideals of treating people justly, giving everyone a fair chance, and believing there should be equal opportunity for all. This month, we'd like to recognize Queen Anne's County Public School Administration Team. This includes principals, vice principals, school counselors, academic deans, and content specialists. These individuals lead their schools and demonstrate fairness by establishing clear and consistent policies, providing equitable disciplinary practices, and ensuring all students have equal access to resources and opportunities. They are often their school's biggest cheerleaders and work hard to advocate for their students and staff. I agree 100%. School administrators create a learning environment where all students and staff feel valued, respected, and have the opportunity to succeed by prioritizing inclusivity, removing barriers to success, and being open to feedback from the community. We'd like to thank them all for all they do. Character Counts would love to hear from you about who we should recognize in future spotlights. If you are aware of businesses, nonprofits, or individuals in our county exemplifying one or all 6 pillars of character, be sure to nominate them, and you can do this at www.peopleforcharacter.org. Thank you for being fair, Chris.
Mm-hmm. All right, excellent job, Commissioner Dumino. Thank you so much. Okay, item number 2 is from MACO. This is the Maryland Association of Counties 2025 Accomplishments Summary and their FY26 dues statement. And I will say their dues are remaining constant now for 17 years running.
The leadership has gone downhill.
The leadership is questionable.
This
but
last year, but, you know.
I don't disagree with that.
Get what you pay for, right, guys?
That's right.
Jim?
Yes.
Under the motion?
For the paying the money?
Yeah.
I thought Jack's time there got us the,
The
Didn't
no
he get
friends
us
and family
the
discount.
president discount? Don't we get waived for the year he's president?
Guess we get to pay extra a little bit.
meeny, miny, and mo.
I move to approve the payment to the Maryland Association of Counties in the amount of $15,113 for the FY 2026 dues.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. What did he say?
He'll pay it next year.
Yeah.
5 in favor, passes.
All right, we good?
Yep,
All
impact
right.
fee schedule.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners. All right, our last item this evening is item number 3 on pages 8 through 14. This is the FY 2026 impact fee schedule. As you know, on July 1st of each year, the amount of the residential development impact fees is automatically adjusted to account for inflation. That is based on the 20 city annual national average data from the Engineering News Record for construction costs. This year, the increase is 2.4%. Which is lower than the 15-year average of 3.1%. So the commissioners have 2 options. Take no action, and the impact fees go up 2.4% automatically on July 1st, or you can make a motion to waive the inflationary rate adjustment and keep the impact fees where they are today, flat.
So we don't have to do anything.
If you take no action, they go up automatically 2.4%. If you want to waive the inflationary
don't really need to move to
rate
take no
adjustment,
action,
you can
just
make
take
a
no
motion to keep
Right,
them
that's what I'm
flat.
saying, yeah.
Yeah, you can do, if you do nothing, they're going to increase
If there's no motion, we just,
It's 2.4%.
2.4%. And they have been constant since 2021. Since COVID hit, there were some big jumps in commissioners' motion to keep the rates flat for those several years now. So it's
the
been,
motion to keep it flat?
What is the average cost for a single-family home or a townhome for impact fees? Just basic ballpark figure.
It's done on square foot, right?
it's based on square footage of the unit. So for,
Well, not necessarily the units. I mean, if it's multifamily, then it's the entire, even the common area of the building.
Correct.
so residential, say it's a residential home, the total per square foot, currently, per square foot is $5.85. 477 goes to schools, fire gets 55 cents, Parks and Rec gets 53 cents of that. And if we increase those by 2.4%, it goes from a total of $5.85 per square foot to $5.99 per square foot overall.
All right. I didn't hear any motion, so it'll just automatically increase
To the 2.4.
for the rate to 2.4 per the existing law.
What do you
Very
want to make a
good.
motion
Move
for
on.
3.1?
All right. All right, Commissioners, that's all the action items this evening that we had for you. And
Yeah, I think next year you can go 5.
press and public comment.
You want to say anything? No, we're good. Round table. Patrick.
Could be that I vote on those two projects could change. I'd like to reach out and discuss more about both of those projects.
Okay. Jim?
I'm good.
Sure. Since I wasn't here last meeting, I'll try to make up for it. All right. So, so obviously, last meeting I wasn't here, I was doing one of my MACO presidential duty visitations to Frederick County for their council meeting. One thing I have gleaned out of the 4 I've been on now is it's fun to watch what other counties do, how they conduct their meetings. As a for instance, when they do proclamations that are for people in the audience, they actually, in Dorchester County, they go down and take the mic as it would sit there, so it's more personal when you're doing a proclamation for somebody in the audience, just something to consider. But in talking with the other councils and commissioners, they have the same problems we do, from housing to development to traffic and, just different levels of each one and what the problems are. I feel very fortunate. We're not the oldest county commissioners room so far. Yeah. But one of the things I did want to talk about is because it was a topic through session, we testified against it, is the whole solar debate, and not so much on the preemption and the things that are going along with that, but just quite frankly, because this is the world I live in, is electrical. So I'm very in tune as to what the needs and that kind of thing are, and the demands are nowadays on new homes. Even though we switch everything to LED lighting and all that, there's a lot more gadgets in the home that are absorbing power and using power when you're not home or when you're not using them, right? We all hear about the vampires, the computers and things like that. And one of my concerns with solar, just in general, is number one, reliability, and number two is it really going to solve our problem? And on both cases, I say it's big no's. The reliability is not there. Cloudy days, middle of winter, when you only got 8 hours, 9 hours of daylight, they're not as efficient as 400 acres of solar panels would lead you to believe. And they operate roughly at about 25% in general. So if you think about all that farmland that we are reducing to solar panels, the production that comes out of that versus a 25% return on that same land for power on the grid. And they've done some preliminary studies because obviously Maryland's in such a deficit. And by the way, if you haven't heard it yet, if you haven't read the articles, your electric bill is going to go up again. And the one thing they're going to shock you with is your electric bill is not going to go up as much over the summer because they're going to ease the pain for you. Because what they're going to do is they're going to raise your fall bills to compensate for what they didn't use to bill you your demand during the summer. So they're trying to spread it out a little bit for you. But yeah, anyway, at the end of the day, the solar, they would have to cover the entire eastern shore to make up the deficit they've got right now. And that's every acre. It's just incredibly short-sighted what's going on with energy, and not just in our area, in the 13-state PJM region, but the entire country. I mean, you used to read articles every day. I've been plugged into these things since we started this whole debate, and it's crazy where we're headed. I mean, there was an article the other day that talked about rolling brownouts in Maryland on its way. Not even like, hey, this may happen. It's like, they're coming. Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know what we do about it. We're just county commissioners. There's not much we can do about it. I mean, we can fight for our farmland, obviously, which we're doing, which leads me to the 24th of this month, our next meeting. I'm sure you guys are aware we're going to draft another piece of legislation that somebody's going to have to make the motion for that I would love to vote against, but unfortunately we can't because we have to come in compliance with said bill, Senate Bill 931 and House Bill 1036, to come in line with the new state law about solar by July 1st.
Like we just did tonight for cannabis.
Correct. And again, here's the state telling us, okay, you guys got to do this. And it's just, it's very frustrating to have to go through that process. And lastly, and because of the visits, Michael Sanderson, our executive director for MACO, gives a really good high level, and you guys, I think, have the packet in there, but it talks, the biggest thing he's talking about with most of the counties, or the ones we've seen, is the budget, this past budget, and what ramifications we're still looking at. The other shoe to drop, so to speak, which is, as we're all aware, in D.C. right now, they have the big, beautiful bill working its way through Congress. It's passed the House. It's over in the Senate. There's some reservations in the Senate. But that bill shifts Medicaid costs to the state of Maryland. Now, there's two sides to this. First off, it's between a $1.5 and a $2 billion possibly add to the state's deficit, right, immediately. So that's going to require probably a fall session, which we haven't had one in Maryland, I think, since 2007, when we had the last real big fiscal crisis statewide. But at the end of the day, there's choices Maryland can make to not raise our taxes to pay for this. Obviously, Maryland's one of the states that expanded Medicaid, so we're kind of paying for that now. And if the government pulls back what they've been funding, that's going to put a big burden on the state as a whole. And we all saw what happened this year. Part of their idea was, let's let the county share in our pain, so they pass costs down to us. So we're probably not done seeing a lot of that kind of action coming at us, even though we just ratified our budget that had none of that in it. We very well could be facing a situation early fall, mid-fall, where we're back at the budget table trying to figure out how to take care of some of that stuff. So I know none of that is good news, is it? It's very depressing going on some of these when you're delivering that kind of news to counties that are already struggling and trying to figure out ways to pay for Kerwin and all the other stuff gets lopped on top of the budgets. So
these tours that you did with Michael, who played the good guy, good cop, bad cop?
So I tried to tell him, I was like, you got to put a better face. You got to smile more. So it's like, you're like delivering the death notice to these people. As you just look around the room and the jaws drop and they're like, oh man, I knew it was bad. Not that bad though. It's kind of like, wow. You feel like the Grim Reaper when you come out of there. And so I don't know, we're going to have to open up with some jokes or something. But yeah, there's nothing on the horizon that can make you jump up and down and go yippee in terms of the financial state of we lost state lost a AAA bond rating in 50 years to lose something like that. That's big. Cause
I just hope there's no impact that trickles down to the counties because of that. And you could say, no, I don't think it's going to happen, but.
Well, I did just see one of the counties did get their AAA for the first time. I think it was Caroline, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Somebody just got it that never had it before. So it's not necessarily the county. If the counties are prudent and fiscally responsible, I don't think it's going to affect us. But what it does affect is the bond bills, which I know Jim's familiar with that because of some of the stuff we've gotten from the state on the bond bills. they're going to be less likely to go to bond and get stuff that's going to come back for some of our nonprofits and things like that, because, you know, if they're borrowing at a higher rate, they're going to be like, yeah, you know what, we're going to
pass on that.
Right, kind of like what we did, you know, with waiting the interest rates out. So we'll see, fellas, but I'm telling you, it looks like around September, October, there could be another.
No news on the subsidies for solar?
So they are still frozen in the big beautiful bill, yes.
Okay.
They are still frozen.
Because I gotta look, you know, I wish we knew, I wish there were some numbers that showed how many farms totaling how many acres are in line to go to solar. I mean, I wonder what happens when they don't get enough acres from those that want to go to solar. And do they go now back then to open space and say, you're not gonna have solar on here?
Or eminent domain.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I'm
one of the
saying so.
other, I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, if you read like the preemption that they used, the case that Jay was reading from tonight, one of the excerpts from that was the case where they're using something from I think it's from the 40s or 50s, you might know, Chris. It's like that old about power generation, how local jurisdictions could not stop, and back then it was coal plants and nuclear plants and all that, but they kind of just carried that forward and said, oh, well, this is power generation.
Power, right.
Power's power, right. So who knows? I mean,
We had power generation and they shut it down, so.
Yeah, well, that's the problem too, is you shut down the power generation, it takes a long time to build and get those online.
Oh, yeah.
So by the time you get to critical mass, it's too late to rebuild it.
Especially-
And when you're importing all the electricity from Pennsylvania, and then you're gonna have the competition from data centers and AI, who can pay, those tech companies can pay a lot more for power, so that drives it up. And the Maryland General Assembly can't tell Pennsylvania Power Station to charge us less. They can charge us more if there's competition. So we're stuck on, you know, we don't have any government oversight. But if they were to build new plants.
Yeah, I mean, they did, PJM is requiring them to stay open to 2029, but the conversation around that is, Brandon Jordan's is saying, we can't do it. We can't keep the doors open because, you know, you've stripped away all of our money that we utilize for subsidies, much like you do with farmers and what they've been doing with solar. You know what I mean? They all rely on the government to some extent, the federal government.
And they need to build newer, more efficient.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think
energy-producing power
anybody
stations.
disagrees with that or the use of solar can be part of the plan, but.
It's a
you know,
component, that's
It's a
it.
component, right? We have to have a much more diversified energy portfolio than putting all our eggs in the wind or solar basket, because we're just going to fall
Right,
short.
we're not a jurisdiction that has 300 days of sunlight that can
Absolutely.
generate tons of
Yeah,
power.
exactly. So, yep.
It'll never be more than 5 to 10%.
We'll see.
Yeah, but that's all I got.
You know, I do have one thing, the Moore grant,
Oh, yeah.
gone. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know who,
Well, you have to, first
For
of
the
all,
folks
Jim,
at home?
explain to the folks at home what that is.
Yeah, what the Moore grant is.
that's an acronym. Does anyone want to give it a shot?
It's for our but what does it go towards?
Life skills, we use it.
Opioid restitution,
What do you say?
opioid education.
No, the Moore
It's
grant
It's
is.
for Julie Killy and the Queen
Yeah.
Anne's Purple and all
Right,
the
right, yeah, it's-
opioid
it's-
awareness program that we have.
Basically, we use it for our fight against drug abuse
Drug
and
abuse, yeah.
addictions. And they came out this year, and they're, for the last 3 years, I think it's been, or 2 years, they were funding Julie Killy. And she's the one dealing, they came in last meeting, she has all the ambassadors, she does all the posters. She's driving a very substantial portion of the Drug-Free Coalition and driving the message. And here we are, knock on wood, we're almost halfway through the year, and we don't have any fatalities from overdoses. And they pulled the grant.
So it's worked.
I mean, it just makes no sense to me. I
Versus
mean,
where we were before we had the grant, the numbers we were looking at
oh,
for
absolutely.
overdoses.
Well, I
and
mean, you know,
fatalities.
they've come down now to zero, and here we are, you know, we're doing great, and they pulled the grant. I mean, it makes no sense to me.
And they reduced it too. Wasn't it a few years back where we had to subsidize some of it, right?
Yes, we did, yeah.
Right,
Three
'cause they had-
3 years ago. That's what I
Yeah.
mean, so the last two, they funded it, so it looks like it's gonna come back to us to fund it.
We talked about that a little bit earlier today in the, with the Board of Education. We do have a Plan B to use some of the opioid restitution funds through the Health Department, and Health Officer Bryce Strang is working that plan. Hopefully, we'll have that in front of the commissioners next meeting for approval, but I think we can pick that up and continue that program. I think it's a
You
pretty
know,
popular program.
it's working, and
Yeah.
we wanna take the money, I don't get it, so.
And more is the Maryland Office of Overdose Response. There you go. I'm feeling it.
That's right.
Man.
But, so, Jim,
It's
Like
200,000.
165,000, it was up.
Yeah, just shy of 200,000.
Yeah.
Around 200,000 a year, yeah.
Because it was supplies and all the other, you know.
Salary.
Salaries, yeah, supplies, yeah.
but they go after that. So we were talking about that today with, at Montgomery County, is just talking about, somebody had asked about the DDA, the disabilities, that they had pulled out of the budget. Remember early on, the governor had cut the disabilities money for supporting disabled people, a lot of the programs and all that were that.
Really?
And I was like, yeah, but then it went back in. But I said, I likened it to 2 years ago when they went in and they stripped the money out for our community colleges.
Yeah.
And then eventually made it right. It's like like they pick these programs that they know are going to get people fired up about. And instead of just really being honest with what to cut or what to look at, it's like you bring this out because you want a shock and awe value of what you're cutting to get people, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense from that standpoint of why do you go after stuff that you know is needed in the communities and go, that's on the chalk. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why do that? Yeah. It just, but anyway.
Because politically, when they put the money back, they look.
Yeah, I guess you look at like a hero at that point, but I don't know.
And they're wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Phil?
Huh. Yes. On a positive note, I will need your assistance, Commissioner Wilson.
I'm not putting that on my head, Phil.
I didn't say you had to put it on your head. So I want to take a moment to speak about a topic that has created many conversations lately in our community, the issue of single-use plastic bags. As you know, the proposed ordinance 2506, an act of concerning the use of plastic bags in Queen Anne's County, did not pass. While the vote was tied and the ban will not move forward, the conversation highlighted something important many of us care about deeply, about reducing waste and protecting our environment. So rather than stop the effort here, we're choosing a different path, one rooted in education, support, and shared responsibilities. Today, I'm pleased to announce a new public campaign to encourage residents to bring their own bags when they go shopping. While it's not a mandate, it's a movement, one we hope our residents, businesses, and community organizations will embrace. To support this effort, we are designing a custom bag, which my fellow commissioner is holding up. This is not the bag itself. It'll have more of a Queen Anne's County theme, and we're working collaboratively with Plastic Free Queen Anne's County to design these bags. The unique thing about these bags is they're actually made out of recycled plastic. To support this effort, we are designing custom reusable bags in collaboration with our friends at Plastic Free Queen Anne's County. These sturdy bags are made from recycled plastic bottles, standing up strong for heavy loads, and they're a visibility reminder of the small choices that can lead to lasting change. We'll be distributing 10,000 of these reusable bags free of charge to the residents and local businesses. And the best part? This initiative is fully funded through a recycling surcharge fund, which comes from the tipping fees at R.B. Baker Rubble Landfill. That means this program is both environmentally and fiscally responsible and a true win-win. We also want to acknowledge Plastic Free Queen Anne's County for sparking the conversation and leading the charge. Your hard work, passion, and commitment to make Queen Anne's County a more sustainable, environmentally friendly place does not go unnoticed. These are passionate folks, people, I'll tell you. I hope you'll join us in the campaign, not because you have to, but because together we can build a cleaner, more sustainable Queen Anne's County. So look for these to come out. The designs, again, will encompass a theme about Queen Anne's County and the positive message that we send in bringing your own bag. That's what BYOB is, bring your own bag. Yeah, it's bring your own bag.
Thank you.
Don't leave them in your car. Don't forget to take them into the grocery store with you. But look for these to appear. As far as where they're going to be distributed and how it's going to be done, those details haven't been determined yet. But as soon as we know more, I'll be sharing those at future commissioner meetings. And that's all I have.
Awesome. The bags are great. How many times you go to the grocery store and the regular plastic bags now are thinner and thinner than they've ever been, and they're ripping apart. And so I keep some of the disposable bags in my truck, and It makes it a lot easier to get the groceries inside, so I'm
like-
glad we're able to do that with QAC.
It's kind of like a cheeseburger at McDonald's. Have you ever noticed now they're like a slider?
Small, small.
When we were growing up, it was a real cheeseburger.
Everything's changed over time.
My grandkids showed me one, and I'm like, that's not a cheeseburger.
Motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.